Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make your own punch needle stuffed animal. And this is super cute. I made this for my boyfriend for his birthday because he has an African gray named Sebastian. So I just thought it would be a really cute birthday gift. So these are the materials that you will need for this project. I first have a hoop big enough to fit my stencil, and this is just a wooden hoop. I have this stencil that I found online. I did not create this, I found it on Google. I have my Oxford punch needle that uses chunky yarn. I also have a marker, and I definitely recommend Sharpie and not washable because this actually got all over my hands in the end. I just have a pair of scissors, some monk's cloth, which can be found at Joann's or any other craft supply store, and of course some fabric for the backing. And these are the colors that I will be using. Some items not shown are a sewing machine with thread, polyester stuffing, and a ruler. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is take our stencil, which is something that I just printed off the internet. I did not design this. And we're going to lay that underneath our monk's cloth. Try to get it nice in the center so that you have an even amount on the top and bottom so that it'll fit nicely in your hoop. Using monk's cloth, it is a very loose weave, so you should be able to see the design underneath. And if you can't, I suggest taping this stencil to a window and then kind of taping the monk's cloth over it, turning off all the lights, closing the blinds, and then trace it like that. I'm gonna go ahead and trace this with I'm just using a Crayola washable marker, but I've used Sharpie before, which works just fine. So now we're ready to hoop this up. So I'm just going to remove the inner and outer hoops. I can undo this. So you're going to loosen these pieces away from each other, and you're going to take the inside hoop and put that on a flat surface, and then just line up your project in the hoop. Try to get it as centered as possible. And then you're going to take the other part of the hoop and you're going to just open it a little bit and push it on top. You might have to loosen it a little more since there's a lot of fabric going in between the two pieces of the hoop, but let's make it work. I'm just going to push down. Okay, and then I'm going to tighten. Well, first I'm going to make sure that it's fully on my hoop. And I'm just going to tighten. It's pretty tight already. And then I'm just going to go around and evenly pull on this. And I'm not sure if you're actually supposed to do this, but it gets really loose when you're actually punching. So I just like to go around all the edges and tighten it. So it's not like drum tight. You can't really get this like super tight, but that's what it looks like. So now we can start punching. This is the punch that I like to use, and this is an Oxford punch needle. So I'm just gonna grab my first color, which is this gray, and I am going to, if you haven't watched my other videos, I'll show you really quick how to thread your punch needle. So whichever way you're punching, you want this opening to follow whichever way you're going. So I like to just twist my yarn a little bit, and you put it through the eye on your needle. And then I like to hold that and then just pull this through, pull that side again, and it eventually will get in there. And it's not too tight, not too loose. It has a little bit of a tug. So yeah, that's how you thread the needle. So to start, I like to just outline the area that I want to fill in first. So I'm going to start with one of the wings, and I'm not going to do this a little bit yet. I'm going to start on like here. So again, I'm going to make sure that my slit is facing the direction, whichever way I'm going. So I'm going to follow this line. So I'm going to just insert my first stitch, go underneath, and then pull that tail through. And you're going to probably want to hold that with your other hand while you do the next few stitches. And if you're using monk's cloth, you can see I like to skip 2 of the weft and go into the next. And then again, sometimes I like to just hold that just when you get started, barely graze the top of the fabric and go into the next space. You really don't want to lift the needle up at all. Then I'm going to, with my needle in the work, I'm just going to turn. And I'm going to follow this all the way down. And there's my first little wing. So what I like to do, and I found this is best for me, I like to outline, and then when I go back to fill in, I like to fill in a continuous kind of loop. And I like to, like my next stitch, I'm gonna punch in the middle of like the second row, but in the middle of that first stitch. So let me zoom in so I can probably see what I mean. So I'm gonna do the next stitch. And it's not gonna be right here, it's going to be here. And again, in between. And I apologize for the shaky camera. I have it attached to my desk. And this is like, when you punch, you know, you have to put a little bit of force. But yeah, this is the best way that I found that covers the most area of the fabric, because there are two different sides to this, you know. So this side might look okay, but the other side, the tufted side, usually is sparse. So that's why I like this method and going in a spiral. As you can see, I finished this, and I finished off with leaving the needle through the project. So what you'll do now is just pull this a little bit, and then we're going to cut it. And you can pull the needle out, and it's done. And then after you do one section, you want to retighten the monk's cloth just by pulling it. Okay, so I finished with my first color, and I'm not sure if you can tell, but I actually did these, like these parts like I showed, and then for this body portion, you can tell it's raised a little bit. So I did an outline like I did for these, and then I flipped it over to the back side and did it normally like how I showed you guys. So that color is all done. I think I'm going to move on to my next one, and I'm basically just going to do the same exact thing that I showed you guys. And I have ink all over me because these markers that I used were washable. They're like water-based, so my hand is rubbing on them, sweaty, and it's now all over my hands. I'm just going to do this part, and just like I was doing everything else, I'm going to start with an outline. And I'm going to ignore these lines. I think I'm just going to fill it in just how it is, like the outline that I drew. Alright, so it's pretty much done, but I'm going to show you how I do the small details like the eyes and the feet. I just have a darning needle with the color thread that I want to use, and I'm just going to do like the feet right here. So I'm going to come up from the bottom, and I believe what I'm going to be doing is just a satin stitch. So I'm going to go up to the highest point, and then, oops, you can't see that. So I came in through here, and then I'm just going to go up, pull that through. So I basically just took a tapestry needle and the color yarn that I want to use, and what's great about this is that you can use any weight. So I'm making the small details on this design with kind of embroidery techniques, and now I'm just taking it out of the hoop. I did steam it, and now I'm adding a 1-inch seam allowance around the entire project. So now I'm just tracing it, and I cut out my backing fabric, and I'm going to show you here actually how I sew it together. And please excuse my house coat, I was kind of cold, but I put everything right sides together, and you want to sew as close as possible to the outside edge of the punch sections. So you'll see kind of what I'm doing. I, for some reason, lost the other footage that I had, which is really upsetting, and you could have seen what I was doing a little better, but just put your needle all the way to the left as far as it can go, and just try to stitch as close as you can to the punched yarn. Once your animal is sewn and you flip it right side out, I stuffed mine with some polyester filling, and now you can see I'm just hand stitching the bottom closed because of his tail area. It was a little hard to flip right side out, so I had to kind of undo a bunch of stitches and it wasn't as clean as I thought it would be. But I'm just using this kind of stitch. I'm not sure what it's called, but you kind of go on either side and just pull it really tight and it should stay. But yeah, that's pretty much how I made my cute little bird stuffed animal. And I hope you guys liked it. If you have any questions at all, definitely leave some comments below. I'll be sure to respond. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, and I hope you stick around. Definitely hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more videos like this. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, please, because it definitely helps me out to know what you guys like. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!